This is the Bob Cordaro Show on TV.
They fought for us, now he'll fight for you. The pursuit of justice and liberty. It's the Bob Cordaro Show on TV.
And now, Bob Cordaro.
Great, good morning, everyone. Happy Sunday. My name is Bob Cordaro, and this is the Bob Cordaro Show on TV. I'm a native of this region, born, raised, and returned twice. As many of you know, I do radio 5 days a week, 9 a.m. to noon on WILK. Appointment radio, we call it. And now we do this thing, the Bob Cordaro Show on TV, each and every week at 11:30 a.m. here on WNEP TV 16. This show is devoted to the greatness of our area, northeastern and central Pennsylvania. So we accentuate the positive, talking to people who make this area great. We don't tell each other that often enough, as well as those who have or want connections to this area. Is it cheerleading? Yes, it is, and we need more of it. Well, first, we're joined in our regular health segment by Dr. Brian France, who is tops in his field of dentistry and a world-recognized periodontist. Then, our Power Brunch Player of the Week is Jimmy Barrett. Jimmy Barrett owns Road Scholar Transport, one of the top players in the trucking industry, headquartered here in Dunmore. Jimmy and his wife Deb started this business, developed and grew it into a go-to supplier of transportation and logistics here in northeastern United States and beyond. We thought you'd like to meet him because in addition to making this family business flourish, Road Scholar Transport has been one of the first trucking companies to use their trailers, in addition to their time, to bring a spotlight to worthy charities, nonprofits, and causes that we can all rally behind. Gear up. Let's talk about trucks. So with the help of God, our families, and each other, let us begin.
Dr. Brian France is an internationally recognized periodontist. He heads a multi-specialty dental practice in Dunmore and has consulted, lectured, and taught around the world in his chosen field.
We're joined by Dr. Brian France, as always, and we're going to touch on a subject, Brian, that a lot of people don't want to talk about, but is absolutely critical, particularly in our area, at least I've found. Cancer.
Well, good morning, Bob. Thanks for having me. And you're right, this is a subject that nobody really wants to talk about, but actually it's a very important subject to cover. Believe it or not, 3% of all cancers, new cancers in the United States are oral cancer. So it's a lot more prevalent than you might realize. And so what I'm hoping to do today is to cover maybe a little bit about prevention and sort of what we do as dentists to detect
detection
oral
and
cancer.
prevention are,
right,
with the treatment modalities available,
Sure.
are critical.
Yeah. So, in terms of prevention, what we do know, probably the most common form of a malignant cancer in the oral cavity is squamous cell carcinoma, squamous cell. And what we also know relative to that is that tobacco, cigarette smoking, vaping, snuff, chewing tobacco, those sorts of things, alcohol abuse, those things have been associated with an increase in oral pharyngeal cancer. So, if you're a smoker using snuff, vaping products, things of that nature, be aware that you're putting yourself at risk for developing a very serious cancer, again, squamous cell carcinoma.
Are dentists, a general dentist, for example, are they prepared to note these problems and help head them off?
Absolutely, Bob. Here in northeastern Pennsylvania, we're very blessed. We have excellent dentists here. And we also have excellent dental hygienists. And oftentimes it's the hygienist who's on the front line. A patient comes in for a routine cleaning and they're doing an oral cancer screening. I know in our office, a very important part of our examination is a thorough head and neck examination. And so the dentists are looking for this. And, what they're looking for actually is anything that looks unusual, a white patch, a swelling, a red patch, an area on the gum tissue that looks irritated. All of those things need to be carefully noted, detected, and followed up on by the dentist. In addition to help us, look and detect these things, we have advances in imaging, which we didn't have years ago. This week, in fact, I had a case referred to me from a colleague that I went to high school with, and it was a lesion that was detected in the posterior, the back of the jaw. And on routine dental x-rays, it would have been years ago probably missed.
Yeah.
Today, with three-dimensional imaging, we picked it up and we're able to refer the patient to appropriate doctors, surgeons for management. So imaging's been a great help.
Obviously, the best thing to do is see your dentist regularly. But let us say, like many people, the person doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything they could do or be aware of that they better go see their dentist?
Sure. I mean, if they notice something unusual, if they notice, something that's bleeding, an ulceration that they didn't have before, a growth that they didn't have before that they all of a sudden become aware of, at that point you need to, be, aware and go and seek, professional attention. I do want to go back to one point that you touched on, Bob, and that is, one of the things when patients come to us for their cleanings, oftentimes, they're in need of dental x-rays. And, you hear, well, I'll wait till next time. I don't want to do that. One of the things that needs to be emphasized is that as dentists, we're not only looking for cavities, but we are looking for pathological things that will show up on x-rays. So if your dentist is recommending to have x-rays taken and it's time, please do it.
So see your dental professional. Listen to your dental professional. Common sense that we don't always follow. Dr. France, always a pleasure, and thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Road Scholar Transport, a higher standard.
Our Power Brunch Player of the Week this week is Jimmy Barrett. Along with his wife, he founded Road Scholar Trucking, one of the premier quality transport companies in northeastern United States and beyond. And, we were talking about Jimmy, he's very humble. He said, why me? What's of interest here? I said, people need to know that you didn't start on third base here. And you created a company and built it up into what it is now, and that a lot of you out there can do it. We talk about this being a show cheerleading for Northeast Central Pennsylvania. And we want to talk to people who have gotten it done. And Jimmy Barrett, welcome.
Delighted to be here.
Yeah. Jimmy, tell me, so you were with, well, let's even start further back than that. Tell me about your where you were born and your upbringing and all that.
Scranton Mercy's Hospital. Twin brother John, you know him. You know
Yes.
Johnny, right?
Great teacher.
Done more all my life until I got married and I was exiled to Clark Summit by my wife.
So you go to Dunmore High School, prep? Where do you go?
I went to reform school, Scranton Prep. Right?
You get out, where do you go?
University of Scranton.
All right. And
Natural pathway.
what's your major in college?
Space. I took up a lot of space.
So
It's political science.
all right.
I was going to be a Formula 5000 race car driver and a U.S. Senator.
So you always had an interest in vehicles.
Deep.
And when does this grab hold of you? You graduate college and you're interested in politics and you're interested in cars, engines, all that.
Well, during high school and college, we built our own race car. And we campaigned that for about 4 seasons.
Wow. Where?
And we didn't even have enough money for a spare tire. Right?
Who did you do this with?
Some friends of mine, Billy Taylor. Right?
Yeah. Which is, by the way, very un-Scranton Prep-like to build cars.
We still do it.
So you build a race car and you're racing with this car that you built.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the engines and the mechanics and all of that won out over politics in the end.
Obviously it did. And then when you're married and you have kids and there's no excess money to go racing.
Yeah. When do you get it? What do you do when you get out of college? What's your first job?
I worked for Gene Peters driving the Scranton City showmobile.
Wow.
And then Mr. Gene Hickey got in and I ended up cleaning the tower at the City Hall that 3 feet of bird dirt.
So you were on the outs.
It's even a political sword. Live by it, die by it.
Yeah,
all right?
yeah.
It's no big deal.
So now you're relegated to basically maintenance of the tower in Scranton City Hall. How do you break out? What do you do?
I got a job down at Fowler Williams and working in the shop. I worked there summers and through college, working on trucks, fueling trucks, washing trucks, driving trucks.
You were always mechanically inclined?
Well, over time.
Yeah. So you're working at Fowler Williams. You're ready to leave politics in City Hall. You leave and you go to Fowler and Williams.
Yes.
Now, what time frame?
About 1976.
So 1976, you start working in the trucking industry.
Yeah. Well, yes.
All
I was working in there in college as well.
Okay. So that takes hold, and now you're full time. And are you looking at it as a career at this point, Jimmy? Or?
Negative. No, just a scratch and sniff. Throughout the years, I was a salesperson. I fortunately did well. A lot of people believe in this. And then they made me, of course, you graduate to be a sales manager.
Mm-hmm.
And then a company by the name of Toast.
Leonard Toast, the Philadelphia Eagles owner.
So they did a merge with Fowler's and August 13th, 1981. And I got fired somewhere around October of 81. So I had to go work for somebody else. Then I was asked to come back as their vice president of sales, only because quite frankly, I picked their pockets. Right?
Yeah.
I had the relationships.
You were going after their customers, and they said, "We need him back."
Full frontal attack.
Yeah.
Putin has nothing on me. Right?
So you're going after the customers that you had built relationships with for someone else. They bring you back.
Yes. And then in 1988, in May, they put somebody in charge that I just didn't want to work for. And I made it clear to them when I came back that I wouldn't have a direct report to the person. And when they put that person in charge, I just left the next day.
To do what? What were you looking at? What were you thinking?
Nothing. It was all on principle.
Okay.
Just totally on principle. So I scavenged around for a little bit, see what was available. Mr. Kane from Kane is Able asked me to come work with them. And
oh, good man.
Great man. Great. Still close with the family.
Yeah.
But I just couldn't come to grips with another family business at the time. I was still stunned.
Mm-hmm.
So
mm-hmm.
I banged around for about 3 months and finally said, I'm going to try to get what we call authority. So I went down and got operating authority, bought rented a very used truck and started driving around with a couple customers, gave me an opportunity to do some work. So I was a truck driver, a dock person, finance person. My wife was a dispatcher, accounts receivable, accounts payable.
So this is your own deal, your own business.
We worked out of our living room.
And somebody's letting you use their rolling stock, their truck.
No, I had to rent it.
You rented it.
Yes.
Wow.
So we started off in September, mid-September of '88.
A lot going on then.
But we were fortunate. People gave us an opportunity. The most influential book I ever read was given to me by my daughter, The Little Engine That Could. I think I can, I think I can, I think I can, I know I can.
Mm-hmm.
And man, I lived by that for the first 3 years were really tough. You're sleeping over the steering wheel of a truck, right? So but we got by.
Yeah. And the business flourishes, obviously, but not without fits and starts. I mean, it's never a straight line, is it, Jimmy?
We never looked backwards to the year 2000. In 2001, we had a fatality back in New Jersey. We had never had that before. That was in January. February, I lost an account that was 37% of our direct and indirect receivables. That was a disaster because I had a lot of debt associated with it. And then in March of 2001, we had a worse accident than the fatality down in Central Virginia. So the stars were not aligned in our favor. And then September 11th, 2001 came about, and the credit markets all dried up. So we went from hero to zero pretty quickly.
Yeah.
We had a crash planned. I met with my family on a Sunday morning and said, this is how we're going to do the exit. Here's how we're going to bury this thing. And it made us much stronger, much, much stronger.
And I mean, there was legitimate fear that everything you had built up over that previous 13 years
Gone.
could be gone.
Everything was PG, personally guaranteed. Right? The equity in the house would be gone, cars. We had no money.
Yeah.
I kept dumping everything into the business.
Yeah.
Right? The service business, the trucking business eats cash. Right? It's just a natural requirement, progression.
One of the things that I've learned from you, but I mean, my father was a Teamster way back. The trucking business has so many moving parts and is so intertwined with the economy. I mean, it's just, it's very hard to manage.
It isn't, but you surround yourself with some strong people that are ambitious and honest, right? Have the right cultural values. It comes together. There's a lot of very, very strong trucking companies that I know of.
So
when I say strong, culturally strong.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to get to. You were developing a culture, an ethos, a mission. And I saw all those things and see them on your website, Road Scholar Transport. And were they developed from the inception and then refined in that difficult early 2000 timeframe, or were they forged in that difficult time?
I think it's just DNA makeup. You don't change overnight. If you hit a disaster, if you hit the lottery, you're still you.
Yeah.
We just happened to hit a disaster.
Yeah. What saw you through that time? I mean, other than your own personal resilience, your family resilience, your wife.
Perseverance. And a lot of help from the guys and gals with whom I worked. Okay? So, and support from the banks, of course. Couldn't do without them. I had one bank did fire me. All right? And they might have regret that a little bit, because since then we went to another bank and we probably have deposited just short of $500 million.
Yeah, well, no comment on banks, but let me say this. You then start adding customers.
Adding customers, salespeople,
It's dark,
mechanics.
It's scary. All this is going on early 2000s. When do you re-emerge?
In 2001 and 2002, we lost just south of $2 million. We reemerged in 2003 when the company realized about $500,000 gain. And that's when that was our resurrection. That was our Easter. All right. And we've been very, very cautious and conservative in the approach to reignite this thing. And right now we're setting all-time records for the company in terms of volumes. And
what are the things you decided and tell me at what point you decided it was, we're going to be about safety, we're going to be about quality. We're not necessarily the lowest price one, but we're going to get it there on time. We're going to secure your business. And you told me something else as when we've talked in the past. A lot of the companies you work for and Transport for realize that their name's on the line every time Road Scholar takes their product?
Sure it is. There's a legal term called vicarious liability. So if I mess up and I don't have the deep enough pockets to handle the problem through a suit, they're going to go after the person that bought from me. All right? Presumably they have much deeper pockets. So safety is paramount, which is never compromise on it, ever. Regrettably, we buried 2 guys.
Yeah.
And that's a position you never want to put anybody in, having to go to the lectern of a church and give somebody's homily.
Yeah.
Eulogy, excuse me.
Yeah. So when you're taking your customers' goods, and you've mentioned a couple of customers, and they look at it and they say, if they are us when they're transporting our stuff,
Indeed.
if they don't secure our cargo, so many bad things could happen. Our company could be on the line with every trip.
We have 140, 135 80,000-pound missiles. That's what they are. So safety is paramount. Safety trumps everything. And part of the safety is the culture, right? In the company, nobody can get dismissed or fired, right? Ultimately, at the end of it, I will make a decision. Okay, you're not talented enough to be here. You're reckless. But you really have to do something egregious, right? It's typically something with safety.
Well, you've had the difficulties of hiring drivers as much as anybody else has, but you've overcome it. You've dealt with it because of the family culture that a lot of because of the family culture and the equipment, the level of the equipment you provide has kept truckers loyal.
I understand the positions they get in every day, having driven trucks, schlepping trucks, snow and ice, rain, sun, right? It's a rigorous job. It's not just sedentary sitting on there turning the steering wheel left and right. There's a lot of accountability. So I think I earned some respect of the guys and gals that drive the trucks, knowing that I know what they get subjected to.
Yeah.
So that's very powerful knowledge.
It's not an easy job.
We're not quick on the trigger to dismiss somebody or discipline somebody. We'll counsel for sure, but we understand the plight.
Yeah. Now, you break through this exceptionally difficult period, and I don't know exactly when it started, but your charitable mission comes to the forefront.
That's an interesting one. Deb asked me one day to go for the Susan G. Coleman walk for breast cancer awareness. And it was a Saturday. She asked me on Friday. I said, Deb, I've come to work every Saturday all my life. Right? She called me a chauvinist. I didn't care, right? So I got thinking, 2 hours a week, 2 hours a year, walking down the street for 20 blocks, that's a good message, but maybe there's a stronger message. So I went across the street and I talked to a friend of mine, Phil Zangi. I said, I need to buy one trailer, but please paint it pink. And we're going to put a big white cameo with a pink ribbon in it, 8 foot tall. He got it done in a week. I went down, picked it up on a Sunday. I parked in the parking lot. I personally drove Deb to work. I said, now that's a statement. 365 days a year.
Throughout the whole Northeast.
And that bred a contagion, a very positive one. We now do support, awareness work, and support for over 54 501(c)(3)s, right? And it's all company contribution, nothing from the charities. It's all ours.
And
veteran programs, pediatric programs.
Yeah. Well, you did it for Lackawanna County when I was commissioner.
We still have that trailer.
And they drive around, they promote the county throughout the old northeastern United States. It's a moving billboard. It's a remarkable thing for the charities and nonprofits that you help out and work with.
It's on a given day, say it's sunny and bright and it's summertime, anything going down the road will get at least 70,000 impressions. At least.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's nice doing it.
Yeah. Now that became part of
People
Road Scholar's mission.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. And you hear about these less fortunate people, especially kids, right? your heart breaks for them. So if you can do a little bit to help them out, fine.
Give me a concept. How many people work for Road Scholar?
Nobody.
Transport.
Nobody. It's with.
Okay.
We don't employ that 4-letter word, boss. It doesn't exist. So how many belly buttons do we have? About 178.
That's a lot of people. You have more than you've got the Dunmore headquarters, but you've got other locations.
We have a facility in Massachusetts, New Jersey, Philadelphia, Allentown, Lancaster. We're now running 3 warehouses, one up in Carbondale, one down in Denver, PA, and one down in Pottstown, PA.
So you've evolved by necessity and by expertise beyond transport itself to logistics, to store or warehousing, all that.
The customer will have a need. They say, can you? Well, let me think about it. Let me figure it out. And more often than that, you can put the puzzle together and fix it.
I liked how, because as we've talked about it before, how your company and you look at issues that your customers have. You look at it and it's a term of art now that's overused, solutions based. Mm-hmm. You're looking for solutions because everybody's problems and issues are not the same.
I'm looking to keep them out of trouble. You have to understand, when I'm hauling somebody's product on the road, I essentially have their market capitalization in my possession. If I allow something stupid to happen, intentionally or unintentionally, and they became page 1 news, they're going to have a market cap drop. My job is not to let that happen on my watch. And I speak face to face to these customers about it. Right? One guy's got a brand new job. I'm hauling tumors, live tumors. All right. But I told the guy, it's a clinical laboratory out of Philadelphia. I said, nothing's going to happen on my end of this stick. You'll get through your clinical trials. Right? Nothing bad will happen on my end. You have my undivided attention. And that's the type of focus we take on just about every aspect of customer's freight that we take.
And now not only your wife, Deb, but 2 of your kids are involved in the kids. They're
1, 2, 3, 4.
4 are involved.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
So Road Scholar, family business. We only scratched the surface. Jim Barrett, thank you so much for being with us today.
Enjoy it.
All right.
Come visit us. I'll take you for a ride in a truck.
I'd love it.
Okay. Well done, brother.
Well, that's today's show. I enjoyed learning about the trucking industry and Road Scholar. I really did. I love Jimmy Barrett. And Dr. France, always on top of his game. We'll be back.
Thanks for being part of the program. You've got an appointment every Sunday morning at 11:30 right here on WNEP TV, The Bob Cordaro Show on TV.
He fought for us, now he'll fight for you. The pursuit of justice and liberty.